Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined tonight by a very special guest, Miss Tammy Olam, as I'm pronouncing that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Tammy, how are you this evening?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Good, good. So what state are you in?
I'm in West Virginia,
Oh, West Virginia.
in
In West,
Charleston, West Virginia.
okay. So what's going on with CPS out in Charleston?
Well, I kind of had some questions for you. I've had a hearing. Of course, I was on the show previous, and a lot's changed since then. I have actually, I have a different judge. They have the judge that I had for some reason has stepped down, done something, and had a replacement put in. And now the attorney that I have has also stepped down and is going to assign me to another attorney because he said it's going to get bad or something. So I don't quite understand what they're doing. I mean, the case has been what it is. The CPS worker has has done false allegations against me, and I've actually kind of proven those. So she's no longer allowed to testify or come to the hearing, nothing. So they have like no witnesses, but yet the judge now has stepped down and so has my lawyer. So I don't really understand. I was hoping you could help me maybe understand why they're doing that.
Well, you'd have to tell me a lot more information to let me know what's going on with your case. I don't know why they're doing something like that. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. This case has been going on since last year in July. They had me leave my home. I left my two granddaughters with my parents, and one of them was only 6 months old. So now the neighbor has her. Um, in this period, I don't, well, they took, for some reason, they stopped my visitation. I don't know why. Um, but so I haven't got to see them. And the reason for that is they're saying, well, they want me to take these classes. They want me to take a domestic violence class. They want me to take a drug class. They want me to take a parenting class. They want me to take a couple other classes that or see treatment. They want me to talk to a counselor or something, but they want me to talk to their doctors. They don't want me to get my own. And since all this has happened, they want me to do random drug screens, like 3 of them a week. And so they took my visitation. So I quit participating. I told them if they were going to, take my visitation for no reason, then I'm not going to do what they want me to do. So in this period of time, they've actually, for some reason, like I said, my judge is since they've taken the CPS worker off the case because I made my lawyer file a paper to find out why she was fired. She's been terminated. And I think it's because of the false things that she's done in my case. So I told my lawyer to file that a paper, for the Information Act to find out why she was terminated and if it has anything to do with my case. Well, my attorney said it was going to get bad, that they are going to do a discovery on, I guess, on her. So, but like I said, my lawyer has now stepped down and so has the judge. And I don't get why.
Well, did your lawyer tell you why he or she was stepping down?
He said that it was going to get too much for him, that he didn't know if he could, do this case or not, because it was going to get really bad. So that's all he said to me. And that he's already got me another attorney set up, and that it was just going to be too much for him.
When you say too much, I'm not really following that. What do you mean by that?
I don't. Well, the way I took it's more than he can handle. He doesn't know how to handle that kind of a case, even though that's what he does is family law. I don't understand it either, but that was his words, that it was going to get bad and it was too much for him to be able to do.
Well, first of all, this is not family law, right? It's juvenile. They call it juvenile dependency in California, and in most cases, it's relating to CPS cases. In most states, like in California, family law cases are those divorce cases. We have mother and father, husband and wife battling each other. But you're not battling the father. In this case, you're battling CPS.
Right.
So
But
it's
that's what
really a
he
separate.
does. He
Okay,
does family law is what he specializes in. So
okay. But I was trying to say this isn't a family law case.
no, no.
No.
This is circuit court. We're in circuit court with this.
Now, have you asked him to tell you specifically what's going on?
Well, I've been texting him and he never he never messages me back. And then he told me he wanted to set up a time where we could talk, and I told him okay. So we done it on my lunch period, and that was all that he would even go into and say was that the case was going to get bad, that there was going to be a discovery, and that he just felt like it was too much, that he, I guess, couldn't represent me like he should. I don't know. He said, I got another attorney set up for you and he'll be in touch. And that was about it. I mean, to be honest with you, it was
Well,
very short.
do you know who the other attorney is? Don't say the name, but do you know that person?
I looked him up. I don't know him, no. But I did look up his reviews and that kind of stuff. But,
Hmm.
and he seems like he has a better background as far as that goes. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Have you talked to a civil rights lawyer back there?
No, I didn't know what to do from here. I'm actually, for once, I don't know what to do.
Well, let me suggest to you that you speak to this attorney that might be able to represent you in the CPS case, but
Okay.
that you also speak to a civil rights lawyer, hopefully someone who has experience suing social workers in your state for civil rights violations. Sounds like, some things happened on your case that weren't appropriate, and people are bailing, and somebody should be held accountable.
I totally agree. It seems like everybody's kind of like getting out of it, like passing it to somebody else because they don't either want involved or they don't want blamed, or I don't know, the election's coming up. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
Right. Um, we have a question right here from Goddess Kratos, and she says, "Do you consider juvenile dependency an administrative court?" I do not. Juvenile dependency I think in all states, but definitely in California, is not an administrative court. Now, Tammy, when do you think you're going to be able to talk to this new lawyer, and when is your next court date?
Well, actually, it was supposed to have been last Friday, and now because of everybody stepping down, it's now been moved till April the 28th. It'll be a year in June that this has been going on, and I haven't even had any hearings, but one.
But one hearing?
One,
Are you
yeah,
sure?
yes. We had the preliminary, and that wasn't really like a hearing, but we actually had one hearing, and that was about I guess not quite a month ago, because my lawyer, I told him to file for dismissal because of the fact they had no witnesses we could cross-examine, nothing. And so he filed for he asked for a dismissal, and the judge said that he was going to have to first get the discovery on the CPS worker and see all this first, and that he would set a hearing date and decide. Well, before the hearing date even got set, which was this coming Friday or last Friday, they've already stepped down and moved lawyers, and now it's been postponed again until next month, till the 28th of April.
Well, it's imperative, obviously, for you to get in touch with your new lawyer and find out where your case is. I mean, do you know who the new judge is?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Have you done any research on on the new judge?
Yeah, he's actually one that he's retired, and he's just kind of filling in for, I guess, for judges who maybe are off sick or on vacation or something, for some reason they can't do it. He's a fill-in. So
Do you know if he's pro CPS or pro family?
I don't know. I don't know that. That'd probably be something good to find out. But
What other questions did you have for me, Tammy?
Well, I wanted to know, okay, with all this going on and everybody stepping down and moving, what would happen if I would just go and get my kids? If I would just go and take my kids?
Well, I mean, if they're placed by court order out of your custody, um, and I don't know that that's the case or not the case because I haven't looked at your file, you'd be arrested,
So they
probably
could put.
charged with probably charged with kidnapping.
Okay, well, that wouldn't be good. But I just
No,
didn't know
that
because
wouldn't be good at
of
all.
everything being false, them not having nothing to stand on, you would have thought it would have been dismissed. And that, I mean, because I have legal guardianship and they haven't actually taken, it's a temporary thing is what the paper said. But I mean, with no witness, I mean, the person who filed the petition is no longer can't even come to the hearing and testify. So her
Well,
word
let
is
me,
nothing.
well, let me ask you something. You said you're the legal guardian. You're
Hmm.
not the mother?
No, I'm the grandmother. I've had them since birth. I've had one 8 years, and the other one I had for 6 months, and she's now a year old.
Okay, so some court previously made you the legal guardian of the children.
The same court
Okay.
I'm in. Uh-huh.
Okay. So in California, and I suspect in your state, once you become the legal guardian, you have the same rights, generally speaking, as a natural parent. So they have to give you what's called due process.
I
And
haven't had that.
yeah, I'm almost sure that if you have only had one hearing in almost a year, there's something really, really wrong with the case. I can't tell you what's wrong with the case. I'm not a West Virginia lawyer, but the way your case is being handled doesn't even comply with the national federal regulations on juvenile dependency cases.
No, it doesn't. I mean, even like if you look up my case number, it doesn't even show anything. There isn't one. It doesn't even show that there's a real case number. That's another thing that strikes me odd. I mean, everything about this case has been, I mean, truthfully, unbelievable. It's like it doesn't exist, but it does. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it doesn't.
Well, you have a case number if you've had a hearing in court and if they assigned you a court appointed attorney. There's some case number. You may not know what it is.
No, I know what it is, but when I put it in for the system, you can't, it's like it doesn't exist. It's not there. There's nothing.
Oh, it's not in the computer system.
No, not at all. Even like in West Virginia, you have to run like in it's called West Virginia law, and you have to run these legal things that go on like proceedings every day.
Right.
And for each day, yeah. Mine's never been there.
Somebody has probably kept it out for some reason. I can't tell you why, but it doesn't sound kosher, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what to do. I mean, I know that what they're doing is definitely unlawful and it's not right. They violated my civil rights. I know this, but you can't say too much because if you stand up for your rights, then they punish you for that too. I mean, I've had to tell my lawyer what to do instead of him knowing what to do. I have to tell him because he won't do it. It's like he's
How
for the
did
court. He's not for me.
how did you figure out how and what you should be telling your lawyer?
I've been doing research online, and I've had a real good friend of mine helping me do a lot of research online to find out what how it's supposed to be. There's been no due process whatsoever, none at
Mhm.
all. They've done what they've wanted to do when they want to do it. There's been no, I mean, like evidence whatsoever. There's no evidence. It's all hearsay. Um, I mean, truthfully, it's just something that I thought would never happen to me has happened.
Well, with respect to your case, have you thought about trying to consult perhaps with a private attorney in your area?
I've talked to a couple lawyers actually, and I've actually even paid a couple of them and ended up having to fire them because of the fact it's like they didn't know enough. It's like you have to, it's been weird. I don't know. It's been really weird. It's like the lawyers that I've had to actually fire them because they didn't know what they were doing, when they should file an objection, what they should object.
Well,
It's
you might be hiring the wrong type of lawyer. You got to hire a guy or a gal who's familiar with, the CPS courtroom experience, right?
Right. And I've asked them that. I've asked them, like, experience wise, how much, oh, they're good. They all say they're good. But when it comes down to it, they're not. You know what I'm saying? Either that or my case is so messed up, they don't know what to do with it.
You guys have a bar association in your county?
Yes, we do.
Most bar associations have something called a lawyer referral service. And before you can be listed as an attorney who practices in a certain area, the lawyer referral services vet you, and they won't put you on that type of practice area unless you can prove to them and show them, usually under penalty of perjury, that you have certain type of experience, right? So it's kind of like vetted for you. Now, what I would do is I'd call my lawyer referral service in your county, perhaps a neighboring county or two or three, and find some people that are CPS or juvenile dependency lawyers and
Okay.
book an appointment and go talk to them. I think, this happens to a lot of people. First of all, a lot of people think if you're a lawyer, you can do any case competently. And that's not necessarily true. Okay. So, for example, I don't know anything about patent and trademark law, but I could do it. It'd be the worst case scenario for the client. Same thing with CPS cases. Over the years, I've noticed, some family law attorneys, some criminal attorneys venture into the CPS space and, they're completely lost. Now, they're never going to tell you that, right? Because you're the client paying them thousands of dollars. But you got to go to someone that's vetted. And see, you seem like an intelligent woman, but you probably don't know the right questions to ask to vet the guy or gal. Everybody's experienced if you got $5,000 or $10,000 to give them,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But
I've given
you don't,
10,000.
yeah, you don't really know. You don't really know how experienced they are. So, if you have a bar association referral, they vet these people for you.
Okay.
Some of the questions you might want to ask them are, how many CPS cases have you done? How many CPS contested or hearings or trials have you done? Okay. How
Okay.
many times per week are you in that CPS courthouse or courtroom?
And what's a good answer to those questions?
Well, it's relative depending on the geographic area. If I were in California or in LA, I'd probably want an attorney that's done, at least 25 to 50 contested hearings,
Okay.
trials in the CPS court. Somebody asked me that a few years ago, and I said, well, I think they should have at least 100. But, I've backed off of that, and I'd say 25 to 50. You know, every attorney that you talk to is going to be different. Just because they have a license to practice law does not make them all equal. Okay. So if you Google somebody and and they're an attorney, that doesn't mean they do CPS cases. And then when you find somebody that does CPS cases, that doesn't mean they're experienced in them. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
then if they are experienced, the experience is all over the board, from having done one case to 1,000 cases. And I can tell you, when I was a young attorney, I didn't really believe this, but experience matters. It matters a lot. So, you want to make sure that you're properly vetting the person. And unfortunately, when people go out and talk to lawyers, they don't know what to ask. You know, Here's another question: Do you represent? Have you had experience, and how much, representing parents, representing relatives, representing children? Now, here's something that's really interesting and odd. In Los Angeles County many years ago, 20, 25 years ago, um, if you did juvenile dependency on a court appointed basis, you represented parents, relatives, and children. So I've actually represented children in juvenile dependency cases. Today, if you're a lawyer in that system, they have specialized firms that only represent children, and they don't represent parents, and they don't represent relatives. And there's always an argument about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, you can make arguments on both sides. It's my personal belief that if you have experience representing more than one party in a case, that means something. Just, here's something that happens. I see a lot. There are former prosecutors that used to represent social workers that have gone out into private practice. And when people talk to them, they say, well, I used to represent the social workers. That's actually a good thing, in my opinion, right? You don't see that too much anymore because prosecutors in this area of law are so highly paid. And I think they're highly paid to make sure they don't leave and go with the secrets of the office to represent parents. You don't see that much these days. But, if a person has that type of experience, that could be a good thing for you, for anybody looking for a juvenile dependency attorney.
See, I even my daughter or my granddaughter's teacher reached out to me and told me that that she's doing bad in school now. She's crying every day to the teacher because she misses me.
Right. Right. I mean, clearly, when we take children or when the system takes children away from their family, that's not good. It's not good at all. But we do it, and sometimes in a cavalier fashion, every day all across the country. I don't know if you've ever heard this story that I've told. Before I started juvenile dependency, I was working in a law firm that did civil litigation, like business disputes, people suing each other, businesses suing each other. And a guy that was my first mentor worked at the firm. And he told me one day he was leaving to go do juvenile dependency. I'd never heard of juvenile dependency, and I think I was a lawyer at least for like 3 years. I'd never heard of it. And I said, well, what's that, Mike? He says, oh, that's where they take away children from parents. And I'm like, Mike, that sounds unconstitutional. Are you sure that's what they're doing? Well, yeah, they're doing it every day. And at that time, I really didn't believe him. I didn't believe him. This is America. We don't take kids from parents. You might as well tell people what religion they can practice. We don't do that. And I ran into him about 3 months later, walking down the hallway. He came back to the firm to finish up a project for our boss. And I said, oh, so how's that juvenile thing going? He says, oh, it's going good. I said, so are they really taking away parents? He said, yeah, every day. Every day. And he was talking about just LA County. He goes, by the hundreds, every day. And I was just flabbergasted. I really didn't believe it. Like, how could this be happening in the United States of America, where being a parent is like one of the most important constitutional rights there is? It's right up there with freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to travel. And we infringe on parents' rights because it's in the name of protecting children. And that's a good thing. But here's the flip side of the coin. When you take a kid from the family, they are destroyed and marked for life. No matter how much counseling we want to give them, no matter how loving the foster parent is. And by the way, many, many years ago, 20 years ago, I used to represent foster parents who were being prosecuted, so the state wanted to take away their license because of alleged abuse that they had committed. So when we put these kids in foster care, we think, oh, everything's gonna be fine and dandy.
No.
No, it's not. It's not. I represented a woman who was charged with being responsible for causing the death of a foster child. Now, you think that was a better situation than leaving the kid with the mom who, had a drug issue?
Definitely not.
No, no, not at all. But we do it. I think, we look back on the orphanage system, which foster care replaced, the orphanage system, and we talk about how bad it was. We're going to look back on this system in about 50 years, and we're going to find out how bad it was. I told my producer to post a news article that came out maybe 5 days ago. This is 5 days ago. It's from a newspaper in the county of San Bernardino, a larger county here in Southern California, a neighbor to LA County. I think it was the grand jury did a study or had a hearings, and they said their recommendation was to demolish the foster care system in San Bernardino and start all over or find a better system. Now, this was March 24th, 2023. The things they cited in that newspaper article, they're happening in every county that I've been in. And I've represented people all over California. Those same things are happening definitely in LA County, everywhere,
Everywhere.
and across the country. Across the country. I represent a woman right now in a case. I won't say the county, but it's in up north someplace in California. She is going crazy because her child, who I think is 6, showed up to a visit with 2 black eyes. How does that happen? They gave her some type of story and they tried to stop her visits, according to her. I wasn't there. And she feels that they're trying to hide abuse by someone or something in a foster home. You know what used to happen a lot when I represented kids that are in foster homes? A lot of times the abuse, comes from the foster parent, but a lot of times it comes from your foster brother or sister, right? Now, they may be a child who was abused in their home, but when they're placed with other kids, what conduct do they know?
Abuse.
Abuse. And yes, I've heard of physical abuse, and yes, I've heard of sexual abuse. Yes, I've heard of bullying. It reminds me of a case. This might have been 10 years ago. I represented a mom who was trying to get her teenage daughter back. And the daughter wanted to come home. And we had already gotten the teenage son back, right? And my client was Caucasian, all right? They placed her daughter, who was Caucasian, in a predominantly Black and Latino group home. She was getting her ass kicked on the regular. They were taking all of her stuff. And they didn't want to give my client the child, who already had one of the children back. So,
Wow.
Before we cavalierly place these kids in foster care, we probably should know what's going on. And by the way, when I told you I represented foster parents,
Mhm.
the hearings for foster parents are in an administrative court that probably most people in this system have never heard of. The outcomes of these hearings aren't made public. The judges don't know about them, right? So you don't know what foster parents are being accused of. You have no idea. We think, oh, it's a great place, foster care, they're going to be safe. Finally, we're taking them away from those parents who had that domestic violence fight while they were sleeping, or got arrested for a DUI. We're going to take these kids away and we're going to put them in a safe place. And then when it doesn't work out right, oh, we don't want to hear about it. We don't want to talk about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And see, that's the thing with me. My background is clean. I've never had a DUI in my life. I've never had any drug charges. Nothing. It is clean as a whistle. But yet they took them from me to place them with a neighbor and my parents that are too old to even keep them. You know what I'm saying? To even actually raise either one of them. They're not going to probably be around too much longer. And then what happens to them? Then where do they go? It's
Yeah.
messed up. It's really messed up. I've never seen so much corruption in all my life, especially in West Virginia.
Unfortunately, the stories from West Virginia are the same in California, that are the same in New York and in Florida. I don't know if you saw last night's show. We had one of the most prominent CPS defense attorneys on, a guy. His name is Michael, and if you just watch the show from last night, you'll see him. You'll see his name, his telephone number, his web address, everything. And he's in New York. He's in Manhattan. You ever been to New York?
No.
Okay. People are like this. Okay. And he tells of stories of CPS abuse, um, that make me cringe. But I've heard them before. He's a former district attorney in New York. Former district attorney turned CPS defense attorney. And he told me, I didn't believe this, but I looked it up today. He's on TikTok. He has like 350,000 followers on TikTok. So it's the same everywhere. And there has to be some type of change. And if you're watching this show, or Tammy, if you want to, after this show, go on Google and Google San Bernardino, California foster care system. And that article is going to pop up for you. I think my producer published that article on all of our pages. We have like about 8 CPS pages. But if you go to one of those pages, you'll see it. Unfortunately, I don't think we posted it on YouTube, but I'm sure that you guys can Google it and find something about the article. Read the article. It makes you think this really can't be happening. But it is, and it was like March 24th, 2023. 5 days ago. 5 days ago. Tammy, any other questions you have for me this evening about your case?
No, not right this moment. I'm actually going to take a lot of this in that you've told me today or tonight, and actually make some phone calls tomorrow and see what I can find out.
Yeah, I think the key to your case is getting in touch with a competent, experienced CPS attorney in your area, and also trying to find a competent civil rights attorney. I mean, I'm going to believe what you told me tonight. And if that is all true, there's something definitely wrong. Something's definitely gone wrong in your case. And I think you should hold them in the system accountable.
I've had
Not
a lot
only,
of people tell me that. Even my attorney, when I first got him, he asked me, "How did you get here? Why are you here?" I was like, "I have no idea." Even he thought there was something wrong, but like I said, now he stepped down too. So it's like, I don't know what to think. That I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that all this is happening.
well, for you, it's bad, but for the rest of the public, it's probably good, especially if you hold them accountable and expose what is going on.
I'm
Tammy, I
definitely.
want you, I would really like you to keep in touch with me to let me know what's going on in your case. My telephone number is the bottom right-hand corner of the screen there, 888-888-6582. And also, you might have my producer's email, grace@vincentwdavis.com. You can also email me at vwd, it's v@vwdlaw.com. Just put that in the comments for all the pages. So you can email me there. Just keep in touch. I really would like to know what's going on there in West Virginia.
I definitely will. I definitely will.
Okay. Well, Tammy, thank you for coming on this evening and sharing our story. And please keep in touch. All right.
I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Miss G wasn't on tonight. She had some family obligations to take care of. So for once, we're gonna be able to finish the show on time or a little early. We're going to be on tomorrow night as well, at 7 p.m. And of course, Saturdays and Sundays we're on at 9:30 a.m. All right. So before we go, I'm going to play one of my favorite YouTube shorts. It's about only a minute long, and we'll play this, and then I'll see you guys all tomorrow, 7 p.m. Trial is fast approaching. Are you and your attorney ready for the trial? Have witnesses been subpoenaed? Has exhibits been subpoenaed? Has the witness list been prepared? Has the exhibit list been prepared? Have the trial briefs been prepared? These are all questions that you need to know the answer to before you go to trial in any CPS case. CPS cases are just like other cases. There should be preparation, and you should sit down with your attorney, either in person, by phone, or Zoom, or something like that, and discuss the strategy for your case. Don't wait until the day of the trial to talk to your attorney. Be proactive. Contact your attorney by phone, text, email. Talk to your attorney. These are your children that we're talking about. Make sure that you and your attorney are prepared. Ask them, have the witnesses been subpoenaed? Ask them, are the exhibits ready to go and be introduced? Call me if you have. Let me give you some tips on how to talk to your prospective CPS attorney or even your CPS attorney when you speak to them in person or on the phone. The first thing you want to tell them is not a story of your case. Do not tell them that. Put a fence around the story of your case before you tell the story. Be ready to tell the attorney the posture of the case, where you're at in the case, the next court hearing, and what type of hearing it is. And then, if he or she has the time, you can tell the story of the case. A lot of times, the story has no impact on the different phases of the case. I know that sounds strange, but each phase in a CPS case is different from the previous phase. So what happened 2 phases ago may not be relevant now. Call me, 888-888-6582. Civil rights cases against social workers and state or county entities. You have a CPS case, the social worker has violated your civil rights and you want to sue them. And you call an attorney, and you expect that attorney, in many cases, to handle the case on contingency fee, meaning you don't put up any money. Here's the problem. These civil rights cases are not car accident cases. They're complex, expensive civil litigation matters. That's why most people don't sue social workers. They can't afford it. A typical civil rights case, I would say, will cost you, just in the expenses alone, $200,000 over a period of 18 months to 2 years. Who has that kind of money? And you can't expect the lawyer to put that money up for you. He or she probably can't afford it. If you have a civil rights case, call me, 888-888-65.